So I'm going to try and answer a couple of questions that I think folks have for how to get started doing a parametric tower form. I'm in Basari. I'm going to create a mass. And once in here, I'm going to make a rectangle first that's centered on the sort of the crosshairs here. So I can just start off. I'm going to do a reference lines because those are good for building other things. And I'm also going to turn off 3D snapping and make surface from closed loops because those are just some defaults that I don't think I want. I'm just going to throw down, I'm going to make a rectangle. So I'm going to just throw down any old line here. And I'm going to start adding in some dimensions. So first of all, I'm going to make it centered. So I'm going to pick this guy, and then the center, and then this guy. I'm going to pull it out. And now I'm going to get that little EQ. If I push that, it's going to lock those things to always be equal. So now if I take one of these lines, I think this will work this way, move it in, everything stays balanced. So now what I can also do is, you can see I'm also changing the active work plane when I do that. I can set the active work plane to be different places. I just want to make sure that when I put my dimensions, I'm putting them on the right work plane. So I'm on this work plane right now, the level 1. So now I'm going to constrain, or I'm going to put a parameter for how wide this is going to be. And so now I've got a dimension on here. I can either do something like, if I tab select that line, I can, I can't do what I was going to show you, but it doesn't really matter. What I was going to do is I was going to constrain that line. So I can select that dimension, and I can either hit label right here, or I can do label from this drop-down menu up here. Label is almost the same thing as saying that you're going to add a parameter. So I can add a parameter to this, and I can call it width. And I'll keep that as a type parameter for now. Type parameters and instance parameters are going to be discussed later on. And so now I've got my width parameter that's all set. If I go in here to the family types, I can go and I can manipulate that parameter that I just added. I can say 80, let's do something more dramatic, 40. And you'll see that it reduces down. I can go and I can add the same kind of constraints to those lines. So again, now that's constrained to be equal. And now if I do it over here, I can add another dimension. I'll add this one called length. And I'll say OK. So then if I go in here, now I can even do stuff like I can relate these two things to each other. Whoops. I can relate these two things to each other. So I can say, for instance, width is equal to length times 2. Whoops, not x2 times 2, which is asterisk 2. And I'll give you some links to all the syntax that you can use for this stuff. So now you can see that I've constrained these guys. If I tab into one of these guys, dragging one line is going to actually move all of them in a proportional system around a center point. Oops, and I just double clicked and got out of my family, but I'm just going to back up there, Control Z back in. Keep forgetting that that's a relatively new functionality that we added, to double click to enter into and exit out of a family. So what else? Oh, so I can show you how if you select all of this and you hit create form, you're now going to get a form, and I can pull up or down the top of this. You can see also that you can add some constraints to this guy. So if I select this guy, really anywhere on it, you'll see that there's a bunch of properties over here on the side. Positive offset, negative offset. This too can be parameterized. See this little button over here? That allows me to create a new parameter for it. So I can actually just directly create a parameter like I did before, Or if I get onto the proper work plane, I can add dimensions another way. So if I say I'm going to work on the vertical work plane here, I can actually just manually add another constraint. And I'm going to constrain it to a level. It's a good idea to constrain pieces to very stable things like levels or reference planes that aren't going to move around. So I can select that dimension and I can add another parameter. It says height. So now I've got a whole sort of rig of stuff. So I can even say height is related to length as well. I can say height equals length times width. By the way, this is case sensitive, so be careful about your cases. Length times width divided by 2. Is that what I wanted to do? My number's really, really high. Oh, I think I need some parentheses. Oh no, I wanted to do an average. I probably shouldn't do length times width, because yeah, that would get really huge. Length plus width divided by 2. Ugh. Yeah. Inconsistent units means that I'm trying to make something come out that's not feet. So there. Length plus width, which is still going to be in feet, divided by 2 will be a correct number. So now I've got a whole cube of stuff that is being driven by, really by just one change here will change all of my stuff. So now I have a nicely constrained object just like that.